Alright, we're starting a brand new job. We've got a fresh concrete slab, and the first thing we're going to do is just mark out where every single wall goes. And this is arguably going to be one of the most important parts of doing the frame, because if we make a mistake now and we don't mark these walls out to be in the right places or for the walls to be square, it's going to screw up the entire house and it's going to lead to a world of problems later. So we're going to be going through, starting with our external walls, making sure that the house actually fits on the concrete slab and that the slab is the right size. And then we will continuously 3, 4, 5 the walls and just make sure all the walls are square with each other. And if you don't know what 3, 4, 5 is, it's the simplest and easiest way to make sure a room is square. If you start at the same point in the corner and you mark 3 meters in one direction, 4 meters in the other direction, you should have exactly 5 meters between those 2 points. If you've got 5 meters, it means that you do have a 90-degree angle in that corner. And if you don't have 5 meters between those 2 points, then we know we can adjust those walls in or out very slightly to make sure that the house is square. So after we mark the perimeter of the house, we're just going to continue going through and mark out where every single wall goes downstairs. This is going to give us a good insight on what the house is really going to look like and give us a good feel for the size of what the house is going to be. To flick these lines, we are using a chalk line which is filled up with oxide. And the reason we use oxide is that it's actually going to stain onto the concrete slab, meaning that we can leave these lines here for a few days or a few weeks. And even if it rains, it's not going to wash off our lines and they're still going to be there for when we stand the walls. With the slab all marked out, we can start to get ready to build the walls. First thing we're going to be doing is grabbing some timber and cutting in all our wall plates. For every single wall, we need to cut in a top and bottom plate, and I'm cutting them at exactly the same measurement, and we're just going to tack them together with a few nails for now. Once they're nailed together, we are going to lay them down on the slab exactly where that wall is going to get stood up, which is just going on top of all of the chalk lines that we've just gone through and flicked out. Once the plates are cut in, we can start going through and marking out the studs on them. For this wall here, there's no special features and it's just a common stud spaced wall, which is stud spaced every 450mm. And since our plates are nailed together and they're not going to be moving, I can just hook my tape over the plate and I'm just doing 450 centers and marking studs out the entire way. And the way that I mark my walls out is by doing a line through the top and bottom plate, and I'll just tick the side of the line that the stud needs to be nailed onto. We're also going to go through and mark out all of our windows and doors at this point as well. And while we do this, we're jumping between the architectural and engineering plans to make sure we get the right dimensions, and then also find out what beams and what lintels need to go in these walls. At this stage, this is when we go through and make sure we get everything marked out and ready to go, because once we start opening these walls up and start building them, we're just going to be flying through and we don't want to have to keep stopping and checking the plans. And whilst I'm going through and marking out all these wall plates, someone else is on the miter saw cutting all the studs to length as well. I didn't end up getting any footage of them doing that, but that's such a crucial thing to make sure all the studs are the right size before we start building these walls. Alright, so all the walls are laid out, they're all marked out now. Obviously the next thing we want to do is move them out of the way so we've got room to frame some of these walls. So we don't get confused on what wall's what, I'm going to go through now and just mark every single one out. Which way's the top? So what I typically do is just letter them. And I'm going to write the same letter on the ground, facing the same way. So when we pick the wall up, we know it's not twisted the wrong way. If I pick the wall up and we solder the A like that, we know it's the wrong way. So it's just a bit of a fail-safe mechanism, knowing we can spring the wall around and get everything right. Once we've gone through and labelled the plates, we can move them to the side and give ourselves some room to start building these walls. Once we're ready to go, I'm going to lay my wall out, take out those temp nails, and we're going to open up the top and bottom plates. And we're just going to open them up wide enough so we can fit the studs in between them. The studs we're using are 90 by 45. Actually using these for externals. For a few walls like this one here, this wall here runs through here. So it starts as an external until it gets to that junction, and then it's an internal wall for the rest of the way. For the internal walls, we're going to be using these studs here, which are a 90 by 35. So they're even thinner. The reason we're switching to smaller studs is only for a cost reasons. Obviously 90-35 is going to be a bit cheaper than 90-45. Not a lot of builders I work with do it, but I know for some builders, if you're smashing out heaps of frames, saving a few $100 or $1,000 here and there definitely adds up over time. So what I'm doing at the moment is going through and laying out the studs for the wall. One thing you'll notice me doing, every time I pick up a stud, I'm going to raise it up to eye level and sight if there's any bows in it. I always put all the bows facing down, and we make sure the bows face the same way so that it's a lot easier when we go to straighten. If all the bows are facing out on one wall, it means all you need to do is grab the planer and plane back every single stud. And if you get to the other side of the wall, it means all we have to do for that whole wall is go through and pack it. Having the bows facing inward and plating the studs are so much easier, cheaper and quicker than packing out the stud. So this is an external wall, and the way I mark out every single external wall is for the bows to face inwards, and it's going to save us so much time and make our lives easier when we come to straighten. And with the studs all laid out, I'm just going to get a gun and we're shooting 2 nails into every single stud to hold them both to the top and bottom plates. Right now I'm just using a battery framer, but on most framing sites you will find air guns and pneumatic guns, which is just a quicker and easier way to go through and nail off all these walls. For most of the external walls we've got, we're either going to have a window or a doorway in them. And for this wall here, we've got an external doorway which exits out from the laundry. And what I'm doing is cutting down both studs to make way for a lintel. And we always put our lintel inside the wall, hard up to the top plate, and this lintel's going to support all the weight from upstairs. Once we put the lintel in, we're going to be framing down from the lintel to frame the opening for the window or the door. For this one we've got a window, so we're going to be framing down, which will be the header, and then we're also going to be building the window sill at the bottom, and this is going to be what the window sits on and what supports that window. Once the walls are built, we're going to go through and start doing the metal strapping. Firstly, we can see at the bottom of this wall, we've got hoop-on straps which we're wrapping underneath the bottom plate, and we're going to be shooting them onto the bottom plate and shooting them up to the stud. This is just going to help hold that stud to the plate, and if there's any uplift in the future, the walls aren't going to pull apart. And on top of doing these straps, we're also going to be doing big cross braces, and we're going to put them on loose at the moment, but once we go through and plumb up the wall, we're going to shoot these crosses off, and they're going to stop that wall from moving side to side.
All good?
Yep. With the first lot of walls framed up, we're ready to start standing them, and I'm just going to spend a bit of time to make sure that they perfectly line up with those chalk lines that we flicked. We're going back and forth now to make sure that the length is completely right, and once I'm happy with it, I'm just going to go through some concrete nails, and we're going to use this to connect that bottom plate to the concrete slab. As per the engineering plans, we do need to go through and nail the frames off to the concrete slab, but we also will go through later with some big concrete screws and properly screw that frame down. So even with that bottom plate nailed down, that first wall isn't going to stand up by itself. So we're going to get someone to keep holding that until we get the next wall up and ready to go, and then we're going to shoot through the walls and lock them together. When we frame the walls on the ground, it's always important to make sure that we're building walls that are going to link up with the other walls, and also run in different directions as well to kind of brace them, and make sure that the frame's not going to fall over at this stage.
Sweet. Are you happy there?
Yeah.
I'm with you? Yep.
So the wall that I'm standing up right now does have 2 doorways, and the reason that we frame these 2 doorways without a beam or a lintel at the top is because this is an internal wall and there's going to be no beams or no posi sitting on top of it. Since there's no weight on that wall, we don't need to worry about putting any beams or lintels in there, and all we have to do is frame the opening for that door to fit in.
Another thing that we're doing, I'll jump on this right now, but wherever we have any wall that butts into the steel like that, we're leaving the last 2 studs out. Obviously the last stud is what I'm going to put in now. It's going to get screwed to the steel, connected to the steel. The reason I left the other stud out is just so I've got heaps of room to get in there with my drills and easily work in and connect it to the steel. We're also going to be doing this as we go. So while Oscar gets prepared and gets all the temp braces ready, I'm going to jump straight onto this and connect the frame to the steel. When we've thrown the next batch of walls up, I might chuck the GoPro back on and I'll talk to you guys through a little bit more on what the purpose of everything is and what we're really doing when we're building these walls. It's actually been a while since I've done a job and I've put the steel in first, which I'm really happy about. It's so much easier when the steel is in first, we can build our frame to it, and we're not really building our frames and going through, cutting stuff out and dealing with it later. So what I'm going to do is sit a bottom plate on like that, hard up to the steel, and then the stud that we pack onto the steel goes down and it can sit on this bottom plate. So if I sit it on there, it's actually not hard down yet. It's sitting up slightly because it's hitting the thread. So I'm going to line it up pretty well and get my hammer, and we're just going to give it a tap. and that tap is going to mark exactly where that bolt goes. With that, I'm just going to grab a big spade bit, and we're going to take out more than what we need. And there you have it, that sits on there perfectly. And our stud's going to sit in like that now, which is going to look a lot neater than doing a random size nog and having a random stud like that. I think it's always good to have your nog finishing exactly, or your extra bottom plate finishing exactly where the stud is, and it just stabilizes everything a little bit more. All right, so what I might do now is I'm going to leave this, we'll go through, plumb everything up. I want to plumb the wall up first, and once the wall is plumb and solid, I can put the stud in, shoot it to the bottom plate, connect it to the steel, and then I can move the steel back and forth and shoot it into the wall, holding the steel plumb and connected to the wall.
To plumb the walls up, I'm just going to jump on one side with a straight edge and a level, and when they're plumb, we're just going to shoot off these diagonal timber braces going along the wall, and they're going to lock the wall in place for now so it doesn't move, and we're just going to be using those to hold the wall in place while we go through and do all of our ply bracing and cross bracing, which we'll get to later on in this video. When we actually lay out the wall and we're building it on the ground, it is super important that we are building those walls square, because this wall that we're playing with right now was slightly out of plumb, which probably means that it was out of square when we built it slightly, and once all the nogs and studs are all shot in place to the beams, it's a lot harder to go through and crank them plumb afterwards. That's just one case of what could have happened. Also, when you're moving the walls around and carrying them, they can also twist and move out of plumb slightly. So that's why when we install those cross braces that are next to me, they're on super loose at this point. So we can go through, plumb the walls up, we've got heaps of movement in the wall, and once they're locked in and plumb, we'll come through later and we can tighten everything off then.
What? Give it a tiny pull. Yeah, that's it. A tiny pull and shoot, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Sweet. So the steel isn't plumb, we do need to pull it in this way. I think the best way to do this is, I've cut the stud, I'm going to shoot it on at the bottom here. What I want to do though is just plumb the stud up by itself. It should be pretty much flush with the end of the plate, which it is there. So that's plumb. I'll lock that off. The frame shouldn't pull out. The steel had a bit of movement, so this should only move the steel. Nice, that's pulled in, that's good. So obviously we do have a bit of steel towards the back there. So we're gonna have to do this a fair bit, but I wanna keep it a good process of going through, plumbing up the walls that we put in and connecting to the steel straight away. That means as we work our way along, all the steel is gonna get pulled in right. This beam here is connected to a few more columns at the front. So now by the time we get there, they should relatively be plumb if we pull this one plumb, but it's just gonna make it a lot easier for ourselves. So the frame's connected, the steel's now good that way. When we build this wall coming through here, we're gonna do the same thing, and then that's gonna lock the steel right in both directions. A few things we're looking at when we do lay the studs in. Firstly, the most important one is sighting them for straight in terms of that way. If they bow in and out that way, it's not an issue. The nogs will straighten that. But for this way, we want to make sure they're pretty straight, especially for the junctions. Any studs going in a corner like this have to be dead straight. We're not going to be able to get a planer in there to straighten them. And also next to a window, it's a lot easier if we do straight studs there. If any other stud has a slight bow, we always want the bows to be facing down. I didn't mention how we don't really care if they're bowed in and out that way. If it's massive, we won't use it. But the reason for that is those horizontal timbers in the middle of the frame hold them all straight. I always thought it was very common to use them, but I think I've seen a few American builders and I've noticed that you guys don't actually use nogs in America. I think the biggest reason why we use them and you don't is you guys would go through and sheet all your external walls completely with ply. It's not something we do. I think these two walls here, for example, will get plied. The reasoning behind that is a ply acts as a brace so that the wall doesn't move side to side. So since we're not sheeting all the walls, they're not going to act as a bit of a brace to hold the studs in place. So we do go and put all these nogs in. For the bigger walls at the bottom there, we're going to have to go through and do a double row of nogs.
So I was actually doing this job towards the end of last year, and that's why I'm using Hikoki's first gen framer. I've now got the second gen framer, which is heaps better. It's heaps lighter, easier to use. Everything about it is great. So in case you're watching this video, which I'm posting about a year later, and you're wondering why I'm using this gun, that's exactly why.
All right, so we've got all the studs nailed in. Now what we have to start doing is obviously going through, marking out where these nogs go, and we're going to put them directly in the center of the wall. Our walls are 2660, it's about 2665, but I'm going to go 1332 right in the middle there. Hey, do you have that chalky on you? Thanks, boss. Flick this line in here. And then as you can see, we do scatter the nogs. We go one up, one down, one up, one down. And that way we can get a double snake bite direct fixed nail in there. And we don't have to worry about skewing through the timber. And this way it's more of a solid fix. And strength purposes, it's doing exactly the same as if they're in a straight line. I actually prefer how it looks like that. I do know a few people that run them in a dead straight line, and it's just extra work, not as secure with your skewed nails. And I don't think it looks any better. So we'll do those nogs. Something else we're going to be doing is framing up for the door heights. So our internal doors are actually going to be 2340 doors. What we're going to be doing is adding 60 mil, and that allows for the floorboards to go on and the door jamb at the top. So we'll go 2.4, and that's just a pretty standard measurement that we do for any doorways. If it's a 204 door, same thing, we add that 60 mil. So we're framing either at 2.1 openings or 2.4 openings. So in this case, all these doors are going to be the same. That's going to be the top there. So I'm going to go 2.4. I actually don't really need to mark it on all of them, because what we're going to be doing is measuring up that 35 mil to allow for the header, and then we'll get our stud height, or our little dropper height, which is 185. What I'd typically do if we had a few blokes here when we're doing the pre-cut is I'd get someone on the miter saw cutting a lot of those 185s. I'm just going to use one of these studs for it. I'd get someone pre-cutting all the nogs, pre-cutting the droppers, pre-cutting the 780s that go across to the doorway. And that way when it does come to framing, we're not doing what I'm doing now and running over to the miter saw cutting stuff all the time. Obviously this job's been a bit unique because for most of it, it's just been 2 people so far. We do, and I keep saying this, but we do have more people coming. That's 3. That's 3. And go straight up that way, so this could be the top. 4, 5. Actually, I didn't speak about this in the mark out, but we've done 300 stud spacings for any wall that's going to be in the bathroom. It just gives it more support, more fixings for the tiles. Obviously, a wall with tiles is going to have more weight on it. So that's the reason why we've got so many studs close together here compared to everywhere else. Sweet. All good. I couldn't make it on site yesterday, so Oscar's running the show. He's gone through, finished off the party wall in the middle, which is great because we do want to be working on that today. We'd hopefully go through, straighten this party wall, and then get that heaver wall completely built.
Before we get stuck into that party wall, we just got to frame a few more walls up, and we're building some of those bigger walls on the drop down section of the house. We need to make these walls around 3.5 to 3.6 meters tall so that they match them with the same height as those smaller walls sitting up on top of the slab. This is a double-story house that we're building, and there's not going to be any step down at all upstairs, so we've got to make sure that that subfloor is completely level the whole way through. And for these taller walls at the back, we just got away with using 90x45 pine. When studs are around 3.4, 3.5 meters tall, sometimes you may need to use F17 or double 90x45 studs, depending on how much weight's going to be sitting on them. But for this frame, the engineer signed off on the plans saying that we only need a single 90x45 stud. With all those walls built, I'm going to jump in and start doing the pitching plates, and this is pretty much just a secondary top plate that sits on top of all the walls. This pitching plate does 2 things. Firstly, I'm going to run it over 2 different walls, and it helps tie those walls in together. Especially where we got any junctions where the walls butt into each other, I want to make sure that the pitching plate runs over the join, and I can use it to secure the walls. The other thing it does though is it strengthens the top plate so we can actually land any posies or any trusses in between the studs. If we didn't have this pitching plate in place It means every time we put a posi or truss on top of the walls, we'd need to go through and put a stud directly below them. And with that pitching plate in place, I can go through and put these spikies over it, and these do the exact same thing as those straps that were pre-installed in on the walls earlier, and it helps hold those studs and top plates together. If you get a really windy day or a gust of wind pushing through the house, there's a chance that the wind could actually uplift the house and pull the house apart, but these straps just help hold everything down and hold it together.
So we're ready to go for the Hebel now. What we're going to do to start with is we've got these tracks here. And the first thing we're going to be doing is just going through, pre-installing these tracks the entire way through, and then once they're down, it's just a matter of getting the Hebel sheets, sliding them in, and screwing them off. What I think we do is we might just start at the top section up here. We'll start from that corner, work our way forward. I think it's going to be best to start a full sheet from the step up, because the last thing I want to be doing is a little awkward checkout or rip where that step up is. So we might get rid of all the braces, everything that's going to be in the way for this section here. We'll go through, start installing that track at the bottom, and then we'll start from the back here and work our way forward.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but what we're actually building is a duplex. We've got two different houses right next to each other on the same slab, and whenever you've got that going on, you always need to have a fireproof wall in between the units. And that's why we're using these Hebel panels, which is going to act as a fireproof wall, starting on the slab and going all the way up to truss height.
So I just want to make sure this first one's plumb. Go there. So what we'll do is we'll go through, we'll coat up every join with the glue. Yeah. And then once all the sheets are up, we'll go through and do a layer over the face of it. Yeah. And that will help seal any air gaps. That's good. I want it to be too far over so it hits. Yeah. No. And then now we slide it across, and this is going to guarantee that it's hard to. Just watch out, that stuff might splatter out. Yeah. Oh. You good?
Yeah, baby. Yeah, go. I was going to check it every now and then, Dave, though.
Yeah, like every 5th sheet. I'll put a level stick on it. All right, so that's the first 10 sheets done. Every 10 sheets, we are going to be putting in some of this foam for a joining strip. So do you want to load that up? We got some glue here for it. Fire mastic. So it's like a fireproof glue that we're going to be using.
Is it party wall just for fire, or is it for sound as well, Connor?
Party wall is for fire and sound. Its main purpose is for fire, but it does act as a really good sound barrier. Sweet. Oh, it's stuck on really well, to be honest. Happy with that. All right, so the boys are sitting up at the back now. Oscar's putting the C channel down at the bottom. Basler's putting the brackets on. As soon as they're done, I'll jump down there and help them put the Hebel panels up. While they're doing that, though, I want to get it set up here, and I've actually got to build a wall going all the way out through here. The reason we haven't done it yet is, firstly, it is a separate height to the rest of the frame, so we've got to individually cut studs here. The other reason is that I was waiting for this. For this step down part out here for the porch, I do want to build the bottom plates using treated pine. They shouldn't get wet, but in case moisture or water does come into these bottom plates, the treated pine isn't going to rot away over time. So this is going to be a bottom plate for this wall here, and also a wall behind me as well. Can you hold that? Do you want to flip it the other way, and then Oscar can stand behind and read it? How much strength do you have if I let go? You got the whole thing?
So you want to go up a bit, Go down a bit?
Oh no, it's windy.
Down a little bit more. Yep.
Yep. 2708, please. Yep. Thank you. We've got the Hebel wall up, and it means it's time to jump onto this unit now. Only issue is that this unit's almost exactly the same as next door, and you can see there's a lot of walls in the middle of the house here. So what we're going to have to do today is almost build every single wall individually. We'll stand the externals up, but we're going to have to prefab most of these walls. We're going to build one wall at a time, shoot them together, stack them to the side until we've got almost every wall ready to go, and then at the end of the day, it's just going to be a prefab day, chucking other walls in. So you're gonna jump over there. What we might actually do, we're not gonna stand the wall up. Yeah, we'll flip her, pre-install the cross brace, and that way we can actually wrap it under the bottom plate. So we'll just go straight up. Grab a nog and we'll walk it back to where we were. And then let's bring her down. Since this crossy is going to be on this side, these studs have the bows facing up, so it's easier to straighten. So I jumped a step then, we're going to take these off and just flick a line when I go, get the planer and plane the studs back, because all the bows are sticking out. So we plane the studs back more than enough so that this sits inside the studs, so when we straighten it, they're not going to be in the way. Happy? Happy there? Happy there? Sweet. Do you mind planing those back, please? So don't worry about those end studs. Yeah. No. There's not going to be bow at that point there. So yeah, it's just the middles of them. That's where we want to get a lot out of. Get her up. Let's walk around to the other side. Do you want to go? Are you going on an angle? Yep. Yep, to you. To you. Yep. Sweet. All good? That's very good.
So for this day, it's going to be a lot of stuff that we've already seen and already talked about, just building more walls. So we might skip through most of the walls and jump onto the next part of the job.
We're properly stuck into the job now. As you can see, both units have been framed up. Today's actually going to be the day where we have the most people on site. So we're going to get the most amount of work done today. And today's going to be a day where we just finish off everything to do with these walls.
So one thing that this frame has to brace the walls are these power trusses. And these are things I don't typically use in many frames, but they're a superior bracing method. The reason we're using a power truss right now and you might not use it in other walls is because we've only got a small 800mm nib turning back in away from the house. Normally you would have a longer wall where you can put your ply bracing on or your cross bracing, but because we don't have much room, that's why we need this specially engineered metal power truss, which is going to brace at steel column and won't allow any movement. For these power trusses to work correctly, they have to be bolted to the ground with no movement at all. That's why we're going down 200mm into the concrete. We're going to be filling these holes I'm drilling with chem set and then putting a threaded rod in there. And once the chem set's dry, that rod is not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to go through and pre-drill all these holes into the concrete, clear them all out, so that once we're ready to go, I can get that chem set ready and just run around and do all the power trusses at once.
Sweet. Oh, can you now lean it back so it doesn't hit the top plate? Thanks. Easy as.
So we actually got through these power trusses a lot quicker than I expected. I thought we might be fluffing around trying to screw them into place and trying to line up the holes on the ground, but it was quite easy, as you probably would imagine. With these done, I'm going to leave them, and a few of the other guys are going to come through now and extend our wall frames to the power trusses and screw everything together. What I'm going to do is jump on the concrete screws and start screwing our frame down to the slab. I'm not actually going to be doing these concrete screws in every single wall. The only places where I need to put them in is where the ends of our bracing are. So we've got two other types of braces that the boys have been installing today. We've got the metal cross braces, which we've seen a bit of when we're framing our walls. We've gone through and pre-installed a lot of them, and the other type of bracing are the ply sheets.
We've got the cross braces. They're definitely the easiest braces to put up, but they offer the less support. We've also seen, we can see all the way through these walls, we've got the ply sheets of bracing. They're a lot stronger than the cross braces. So we've got all those up. For all of these, obviously we're just following the engineering plans. We don't determine where these go. And then we've also gone through and done the power trusses. I haven't really done many of these, but these are like the highest tier next level of bracing.
With the walls done, we're going to jump onto the subfloor, and the first thing I'm doing is setting up this laser level above the wall height, and I'm going to go through and find the highest part of the walls and pack the rest of the walls up to that point. Even if we built the walls perfectly, the wall heights aren't going to be level because they're following the concrete slab, And this slab especially has quite a few bows, especially towards that party wall. We can see the top plates of the walls are bowing up and down, and that's just following the slab below.
Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot done today because of the rain. We did go through, both units have been completely leveled with that datum line, so we know what to work off. The goal today was to almost have everything completely done, ready for posies. That won't be the case, but we'll jump up to this now. We'll do as much as we can, packing the steel, putting beams up, and I'll just talk you guys through what we're doing. It's gonna hit the steel, is it?
Nah.
Sweet. Oh, that was easy. Cool. Thank you. Do you want to throw me a tape up straight away while I'm here?
Yeah.
And we'll just get a measurement for this first beam. Thank you. So can you cut 2? Just double check the plan. It should be the same as that unit.
Yeah.
But I'll cut these 2 beams. At 3.5 meters, please. I do want to quickly go through and just show you how I work out exactly where they go. Now, it is pretty obvious that they do go on that tag there, but they could either go both beams on one side of the tag, both beams on the other side, or centered of that tag. So we're going to work out exactly where upstairs finishes. So this is a lower architectural plan. So if we switch over to the upstairs, which is here, we can see this is where the downstairs wall finishes, and upstairs is a bit shorter. So the beam that we're putting in right now is going to be to support this wall here. There's a few different ways we can get this. The easiest way for us to get this is to go off that little kick out there. That kick out where the rim extends out is sitting directly on top of that steel. So we can just go off the steel, and we can't really change where that is anyway because that steel is supporting the wall above it. So all we have to do now then is look at the measurements. We can see bed 4, that's what we want. Bed 4 is 3,850. That measurement is to the inside of this wall here and to the outside of that wall. So our walls are going to be 190, 90 mil for our timber frame, and 100 mil to allow for rooms for battens and our hay-ball sheets. 3,850 plus 190, which is 4,040. We'll jump up and we'll measure this. Oh, I'm so scared putting that camera right there. Oh. No, there's nothing up here. And also we've got the posies just rocking up now too. So I think we're almost ready for this unit for some guys to jump on tomorrow. We might almost get 2 people throwing posies in. Beams are pretty much done. There's stuff to do at the front and there's a stair void area to work out. That should be pretty straightforward. All the time's really just involved in packing the steel. And yeah, as you can see, we got not a lot done today. So that was a complete write-off. All right, so we're up here. That's steel going across there. That's 90 mil wide. That's what we're going off before. So if I hook over that, that's going to be hooking over that wall. And then we want 4040. If I come here, we can mark 4040 right there. And we've got a 90 mil wall here as well. And if we go across 90 mil, we've got 4130 to the inside of that wall. So that was 4040 and 4130, wasn't it? I'm going to double check those measurements because we are...
Yes.
We're off by 20 mil. I did it next door and it was perfect. Let me just recheck them on my phone. I hope I screwed up there. That is an issue. This normally what happens when you check these measurements like this is your measurement should work perfectly with a steel tag, especially because we are just completely going off the steel right now. We can't alter this. This steel tag has been measured off that steel beam over there. So right now we're gonna have to change this. We just did next door and it was millimeter perfect. So I'm not too sure what's going on here. What I think we're gonna do is I'd rather have these beams hard to the steel tag. I want that fixing to be solid. So we're gonna pull this over by 20 mil. And then when we build our wall, we might just have to have the wall coming across 20 mil on those beams. I think as long as that wall is on the beam by at least 66 mil, it's completely fine. We can always do a whaler on the inside anyway. That does mean though that this beam's gonna slightly be sticking out in this space here. Through here are just trusses, so it's not gonna be in the way. So that is a bit of an annoyance. What we're gonna do is I need to transfer this measurement to our party wall as well. So to the inside of the tag, we've got 4155. So it's 25 mil off. I'll jump over here. That was 4155 hooking over. Oh, this wind is getting crazy. So if I mark 4155 here, that's hooking over, so we're going to go back 90 mil, which is 3910. And this is probably a good gauge here. We can really slide that across with the other double beam. And we can see that same 25 mil. So what should happen, these units are the same. That there should match up perfectly with that beam there. If I do measure this, it's about 20 mil. We had about 25 mil on that side. 5 mil is okay. So we always have a few options. As I said, the first option is we can rip down a bit of timber and it can be a packer between that steel cleat and the beam. I don't think we do that. I think these beams are just going to sit over a little bit. I'd rather the beam have a really good connection with that steel, because these beams are going to be holding up upstairs and all the roof up above there too. So I think we just have to unfortunately go where that steel tag is and pull it over 20 mil. So we've got that sorted. We know where it's going to sit. The next thing we have to do is, obviously we've got these flick lines through here. This unit we're going up 16 mil, weren't we?
Yeah.
16 mil. What we're going to do absolutely everywhere is, I might actually get my ruler out for this. We'll get a closer look of this too. This is what we're going to do for every posi and beam in this unit. We're going to get that on the line to be 16 mil. That's me there. And then if I slide through, I've got 7 mil sticking up on the wall plate. So that means right here, I'm going to pack this up 7 mil. That might just be 2 bits of ply and a bit of Malfoy. We'll see what we have. And the beam will sit on that. And for this side over here, I think we filmed it too. When we're going around with the laser, we did get a few points set up, and you can see we got a mark there. Oscar's actually done this one. That mark there was our 16 mil line mark. And he's measured up 16 mil to this mark here. So when I put the beam on this side, I'm not just sitting it down on the steel. I want to make sure it's level. So we'll go from that mark, pack up the other side, and that's where it's going to land. Yeah, look, I was going to jump in and start chucking some beams up. Today's absolutely disappeared on us. Unfortunately, we missed out almost the day because of the rain. In the end, it probably would have been best just to write the day off completely. Not a lot's got done. What we'll do is we'll continue this episode first thing tomorrow. You'll see us back up here, and we'll get set up properly, and we'll go through, we'll pack the steel, do this beam, there's beams over there, and we'll start smashing these units out. All right, so we had a really good start to the job, and now we're just running into hurdle after hurdle. Yesterday, we did go through, laser everything. On the other unit, we got a few beams up, packed the steel. We're getting some progress there. Obviously not enough for a day's worth of work though. We got rained off yesterday. We were in the car for most of the day while it was raining. We didn't want to get our tools wet. Today, even more bad luck. Yesterday, we were set up here on the scaff. We got our beams up there on the wall, and we're going to put them through. But someone's broken into the site last night. They cut the locks, drove in, and our entire scaffold's gone. Which means we're not going to be able to work in any of this area at the back today, which is a bit of a hiccup. We're just going to have to move on, sort that out. We'll sit up towards the front today, and we're just going to start doing the front beams, try to get as many posies done in the front as possible. And we're just going to have to get another scaffold. No good. Yeah, he's got them, yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oh my god, that's scaffold.
There's no way. We're up here. We're putting the steel in. That is our scaffold right there. At least one part of it. So the boys went over. We've got one of the platforms. Everything else is missing. What also doesn't make sense is that was over there at the back of the job site. The front gate's been broken overnight. So someone's obviously came in at the front, loaded most of it, and this is just left behind. So I still, yeah, we don't have a scaff, so we still can't do back up here. That was an interesting start to the day. So when we're packing the steel, our posies are going to be 300 high, and they're going to be, 16 mil from that mark, which is almost top plate. So they're going to finish there. So for this steel here, we obviously want to do a top plate, and the posies are going to be made to sit on top of that. For the bigger steel at the back, the posies are just going to butt into it. Regardless, even though we're packing the top of the steel here, we still want to pack the inside of it so that we can shoot the bottom of the posi in and it stops it rotating back and forth. What we'll do first is, we'll focus on a bit of 90-45 at the top. If you could please cut for me, a bit of 90-45 at, go 4020 please. So we'll get it needs to be flush with the outside, and then we'll clamp that on. So do you have a marker on you? We'll just go through. It's going to be too awkward to try and get the drill in there and drill up holes.
Yeah.
So we'll just mark every single hole, do a circle around them.
I don't have a marker. Do you have to?
Not on me. Do you want to get your ladder in the middle? I'll pass you this one in a sec. Thanks. Yeah, nice. That should line up. Yeah, really well. That's good. These bolts are too big though. We'll get some smaller ones. Sweet. So right now our posies are going to be standing from that wall into the steel. Something we also have to think about though is what's going to go on the other side of the steel. We're going to have, I'm pretty sure, small trusses running through there, but regardless we're going to have a roof, and we also need to put timber on that steel to connect to. So while we're packing the steel, we don't just want to think about the posies, we want to think about everything that needs to go on here. So we're also going to be putting a beam on the outside so we can shoot into. Do you want to grab a clamp and yeah, we'll jump on your ladder and we'll slide this one up.
Yep.
I've measured this one to be longer, so it's actually going to sit on the wall either side. I want to mark all the holes in this one, drop it down and pre-drill it, then install this side as well, mark all the holes, drop it down and install it. That's good with what I've marked, that's good there. Let go?
Yep, sweet.
Oh, that's good, cool. Let me know when you got hands on it.
Yep.
So I'll clamp that. And if we just roll it, the nail's going to come out. Yeah. Let's see if these holes line up then. Sweet, I'm in. Yeah, we'll just chuck the 2 bolts in it for now. And then when we go to bolt it completely off, we'll get the impact wrench. Yeah, all the holes look like they should be. Yeah, they're all pretty good. Sweet. Right, so the bad luck just keeps getting worse. We've gone through, we've packed the steel at the front of the garage now. We've also built these 2 walls that were missing. These are crucial walls that are going to hold our upstairs beams going from that tag to here. We're actually missing 2 load studs, but we've got another double beam that goes across there. The reason we're not winning is the builder looked at the security footage to confirm this. We've had beams stolen from site last night as well. I say last night, it was 5:30 this morning, so it happened just before we rocked up. Yeah, now, yeah, we obviously can't go through, complete all the beam. That's what the goal was. So instead, we're just going to keep moving forward, and we're going to start throwing at the posies. These load studs here, we confirmed these marks. We got them from one of those points over there where the wall stuck out. This lines up with that tag, and this is where upstairs finishes. So what I want to do is transfer this mark to the wall behind me. I'm just going to butt in. We've got 12, 16. 12, 16. There we go. So that is going to be the front of the house upstairs. And we're going to have a beam and a beam there. And we can go through now and start getting our posies in. We can firstly see this whole section through here until we get to that point there, which is on the other side of that ply wall. They're all just common 450 centers. So what we always do for the first posi, instead of going 450, we go 405. And the reason we do that is that helps it work with our flooring sheets. If we went 450 centers the entire way through, we'll eventually get to the end posi at 2.7. Our flooring sheets are 3.6, sorry. Our posi will get to 3.6, our flooring sheets are 3.6, meaning our posi will be there and our flooring sheet will finish here. Bringing this posi back 45 mil means that flooring sheet's going to land half in the posis, and it minimizes more time going through cutting flooring sheets. It also saves us a bit of money, because if the flooring sheet didn't reach that posi, we'd have to bring it back to the last posi. I'm going to be losing about 400 mil on every flooring sheet. So I might just make my way through just to where that wall is. I'll count 11 posis actually, that's what we have. So we'll count 11 posis, and from here we're going to go 450 centers. So that's there, 1350, 1800. All right, so that's it's at a level by about 2 mil over the level, which is good because my mark on my side's up here, and your side, it's actually on the bottom of the steel on your side. You'll see it.
Oh, this one, yeah.
Yes, our level line runs out with the steel. So yeah, I just wanted to confirm that the steel was out of level, which means that, yeah, we are level. So you just need to run it to where that tag is, because that's where the upper floor finishes.
Pull it tight.
Yeah. Say when?
When?
Oh, let's redo that. I'm going to pull it tighter.
Yep.
Alright, so it's that low one there. What I'm going to do instead, because we got that bow for that beam, I think it's a bit of a wavy cut too. The line was going right through there. What I'm going to do instead, I'll mark out, but I'm going to put that first posi in, that end posi in, and then we'll run a string line over the top. So, yeah, beams butt into that tag. So we got 405. So yeah, I've put that nail on there, just to make sure we get continuous measurements the whole way through. If I kept moving my tape like this, I can go 450 there. If I come across here and I move it off slightly, we lose a few mil. If I do that a couple times, suddenly our measurements are just all over the place. 3.6, 4.050, 4.5, 4.950. Every single one misses a bolt, which is good. Could I get your gun, please? Or a gun, please? Oh, cool. Cheers. This handle being here has actually worked out to be so handy. Cool. So we'll get that on its line there. Nice. So this plate here, we had to bolt that down. It's gonna be a bit of a nightmare. So we've got 20 mil of flooring going on top of this, and then we have 8 mil that we're gonna have to plane down. Our wall is finishing for upstairs. It's finishing about here, I think. So we're gonna just go through, probably not plane it down, we'll probably run a saw in there, take out that corner, flooring can flow through, and then we'll just have to cut the studs down for this wall by about that 5 to 10 mil. Bit of a nightmare. Don't really see pre-installed threads like this on the steel, but we're gonna work with what we got. Ugh. About there. Nice. It looks like we're already going to have a bit of a nightmare with these posis. So we're working to the millimeter. We want our subfloor to be pretty good. Oh yeah, nah. These posis aren't too good at all. I can see massive kicks and waves in them. I measured here, I've got exactly 305 hooking over, and I just came across here, I'm about 301. So they are a little bit up and down. How you doing? Let's hook that on. Sweet. So I've got it on the mark, and now I'm just going to be measuring down 45 mil from the string line for every single posi, which is right there. And that's good. For this one we do have that chalk line through there. I don't know if you can see, but we can confirm that that's perfect where it needs to be.
The frame's starting to look good now. We've got some posies up in both units. I've done one of the garages and the boys have jumped on and done the other unit. They're going to continue throwing posies up towards the back of the house, and what I'm going to do is get the coil gun out and start shooting on the joist hangers.
Alright, so these are our joist hangers that go under the posi, and we just load them up with our small 32 by 2.5mm nails. I'm using coil nails. I'm going to be shooting this on with a coil gun. Something I've spoken about a lot is a coil gun opposed to a PPN gun, which is a gun that shoots nails directly in the hole. So using a coil gun, I could take my time and try line them up in the holes like that, but that's actually non-compliant. That's not a pass. What I'm going to do with a coil gun is penetrate new holes through the steel. The reason I can't aim for the nail holes, even though it does pretty much cover up the nail hole, the reason we can't aim for the holes is the nails in this gun is a fraction smaller than what is intended to be used with these brackets. It's completely fine to use the coil guns. I've asked multiple inspectors about this. All they say we have to do though is penetrate new holes through the steel and add a few extra nails than what it needs. For these ones, I normally do 6 to 8 normally if I was going to hand nail them. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 nails on the side. I personally prefer using the PPN gun. It's a lot neater, but it does cost a lot more. And on this job right now, I'm just contracting to do this. So this is what we've been supplied with. And as long as it's a pass, and the inspectors are happy with it, then it's not really an issue. I do think the way the industry is going though is it won't be too long until inspectors and builders start asking people to not use the coil guns for these, and we start seeing a lot more PPNs on site. Alright, so the joist hangers are up. Next thing I want to do is slide in the strong back. Alright. So I'll slide this all the way through, and what a strong back does is it supports the middle of the posies. So I just want to make sure that this sticks out enough so that once we put these beams up here, that's going to butt into the beams. There we go, sweet. So what we're going to do is push that hard up, and this strong back's going to get nailed to those uprights in the posies, and it's going to support the top chord. The main thing that this is here for is to stop any squeaks in the future. We've got a fairly large run of a posi, and once our flooring's on, if one of the posies start to sag over time, you've got your sheet flooring across it, you've got the glues and the nails, and if one posi sags down and the other one's a bit higher, whenever you step on that low point, you're just going to hear that squeak. So we're going to push this up. Make sure it's hard too. Oh, hope this gun's turned on. It's not. Oh, it was on. Sweet. I need to get 2 nails in each. We've just got a new scaffold dropped off. This one's just a temp one, so it's going to be here for today and it's going to be gone at the end of the day. We don't really trust leaving a scaff here after what happened in the last episode. Unfortunately, it is a bit smaller and it's not as long as well. So before we had the scaff that we could reach both sides of this up here, so we could jump up, shoot those beams off and also attach it to that cleat. Not going to be able to do that. I'm going to set the scaff up. We're going to see how big it is, but hopefully it is still all right so we can go through. I can put these beams up and I'm going to go through and try to pack all the steel so we can start doing the posies out here too. Sweet. Actually, no, it's the same height. That's good. So we're good for height. It's obviously just going to be a bit more of a stretch on either side. So on the last episode, we had the 2 beams cut, and we just left them on top of the scaff. So obviously, when they stole the scaff, they would have just thrown them over there. They're not going to be too bad to pull across, so it should be all good. Might just slide this one straight in. Alright. So I'm not set up to do it now, but what we will be doing is getting the same hoop on, and we need to do a big cyclone tie over all our beams. And so the straps will go underneath this plate here, over the beam and wrap down the other side, and that's going to really hold it down and hold it in place. For now, let's just shoot these together. The plan is, I'll lift this up. Actually, it shouldn't be too bad if I get my shoulder under it. And I can see that mark right there. I'll screw the bottom. That has just died on me, but that's fine. That's all it had to do. Might just struggle to get that out. So I screwed the bottom. We're hanging down that 3mm. I can see the mark there. So the height is right, and now we can go through and bolt this beam off. Let's see if we've got enough juice to get this out. Oh, it's fine. Use a shifter for these ons. I've got the impact wrench out, but it's down the bottom. And it's going to be a lot quicker to quickly do it with the shifter and climb all the way down, get it, and climb all the way back up. Alright, so the guys are finishing off the posies next door. First half of this unit here is done, and we're just going to wait for the scaff to get over into this side. What I'm going to do now is run through, tie down the posies, and build all of the little nibbles that we have to build to support the flooring. First thing I might do is measure blocks to go underneath all these posies here, which are going to be top chord supported. These posies through here, and same as those posies over that steel there, are all made to be supported at the top chord here, which hangs over the beams. So we've got 81mm there. This beam here isn't put in level, so these blocks are going to be a little bit different. So we've got 81, 75, and 78. So just quickly ran around. I had to add a few double load studs underneath where these beams are. We didn't mark those out when we were framing the walls. So right now I'm standing in the stair void. So we're obviously going to be building a small little nib wall across there to support the upstairs wall. I've packed these posies here. I've got to pack these posies. And then to also support the flooring, I'm going to have to build a small wall coming across here. Before I build that wall though, I'm going to jump onto the coil gun. We do need to do some cyclone ties down on either end of every single beam we have up. I'm going to do it now because if we build that wall first and I get some timbers laminated to the beams, they're going to get in the way and they're going to make it twice as hard. Honestly, I can't even remember the last time I would have done this. I reckon it's been a good 4 or so years since I've done the cyclone tyres. It's normally a job I've handed off to some apprentices to do. I think the best way I'm going to do this is just cut the strap. Hopefully that's long enough. And we're going to have to wrap it over the beam and come back down to the stud. The main concern I have is right now in this corner here, we're going to have plaster going against this wall. And the plaster is also going to go up underneath this here for the roof and up across that beam. So my concern is if I have the strap like that, and I got that bend right through there, that's going to be in the roof space. So to do this, I'm just going to start shooting this on. Actually, I'm going to start here. I've got that flat across there. I'm just going to keep going for it. Let's go across the top. So for this side, I'm going to twist it here, and I'm going to bend that slightly. I want most of that twist to be up as high as possible in the roof space. And as we can see, most of that's sticking out, and that's cavity right there. That's in the subfloor space, a little sweep. So I'm going to shoot this off. For this one here, we can get away with it. If I go flat through there, I'm going to come in on a bit of a steep angle. And what we're doing is we're actually dropping the ceiling down with some battens. So we've got roughly 30 mil, which is to the bottom of this timber here, where we've got a small cavity. So I'm going to make sure that hoop line bends in that cavity. It means we're on a bit of an angle. But now I can shoot that off, and we can plaster the face of this here, and they can drop drop those battens down, and the hoop line isn't sticking out in the way. Because of that though, we've got a bit of a steep angle here. I might just cut that back very slightly, and we'll just wrap it around the corner. Oh, out of coils. If you're looking at this and you're thinking, what would I do if the plaster is going to be direct fixed to the top of the beam? What we could do is just wrap the strap around to come down this side of the wall. I prefer having the strap on the inside of the beam though, so that it's got a bit of meat that the strap's holding down rather than the strap being nailed down to the face of the beam. There's always options though. I think this is the most secure way to do it. So I'm just quickly going through. I've built this first little nibble here, following this wall the entire way up. Just want to point out why it's important to go through and do these straps first, because as you can see now, that block's hardened to where that beam is. So it's going to be a nightmare if I left those cyclone ties and had to go through and do them afterwards. I might jump up now though. We're going to do the same thing through here, build a little nib wall, because upstairs walls are also going to be landing on this here. Especially for this frame, I'm going to lay a straight edge across the top and individually cut every single stud, because the walls, yeah, look at that. You can see how much the walls are out by. That is actually pretty shocking. We've got about an 8 mil hump there. So what I'm going to do is we'll throw the straight edge on the top, and we can also double check how level these posies are. And I don't know how well you can see that, but it doesn't get any better than that. So first thing, I might just cut a stud on either side. I'll get rid of that level, I don't want to knock that down. So I'm going to use a 90-45 top plate. So I'm just going to measure to the underside of the posi. We've got about 262 on that side, and that's shocking. We got 262 on that side. Can't get that in there. And 269 on this side. So it's 7 mil difference, and even though there's 7 mil difference, you can see how much of a hump there is. I didn't even look at it. You can look at that thick line through there. That is our level line. Definitely not for that side. It's a bit better. And because this is a staircase here, this wall is going to run all the way up. So I'm going to make sure when I plumb it up, I want to check for straight and match it in with this lower wall. I can actually hit that over very slightly. Should roughly hold it in place for now. Look at that. That is perfectly flush through there. So I'm just going to go through now, individually measure every single stud, and we'll fill this wall in. And then I can move on to the next part, do my little blocks underneath all those top cords through there. And then I think we'll make our way to the front and start packing other beams up at the front. All right, we're back and we are ready to start flooring. So we've got our floor in here. I think we've only really got enough for one unit though. So we're gonna start over here, try get this unit completely floored. And the goal is over the next few days, we'll be building the walls up here and do everything on this side while we wait for the flooring on the other side. We've got a yellow tongue flooring and that's gonna be for most of the house. And then we've got wet area flooring over there. And that's gonna be for where the bathrooms are. You can see we've got one set down there for one shower and one bathroom. We've got another bathroom over there. To start with though, we'll get set up with our yellow tongue and we're gonna do a run with the yellow tongue going the entire way down. What I normally do for this, since they are 800 mil, I'll get you to do the same thing, but we'll measure it in a few points. We'll mark 900 mil just for a datum line. This party wall, we've strung it. This party wall down here should be perfect, but I'm just gonna go off at a few different points and it's just gonna make sure everything is perfect and running in a straight line. Might do another mark here. And then I'll do one right at the end.
Have you got the coffee there, John?
I've got one on me.
Oh, you do? Yeah, all good. I'll walk it down and John.
All right. So yeah, we'll go the what we'll do, can I get you to hold it here?
Yeah.
I'll walk it down.
Yeah, all good.
So you hold it on that mark. I just want to check it because we do have a bit of wind.
Yeah.
And it could foul if we try flip it the entire way. Yeah, you go down, then he'll pull his tight. Is that very tight? Let me pick this up. I'm pretty happy with that. We're like within a mil from that wall there. I'm just gonna put my finger down. You got that tight? I'm gonna flick your side first. Sweet as, boys, thank you. That's flicked through quite well. So we're just gonna start straight away now with our first sheet of flooring. And as I said, we're just gonna measure off that line, off 100 mil, and that way we know this whole strip of flooring is gonna be completely straight.
Reel it in.
It's also reassuring too to know that our party walls remained completely straight after putting all the posies up too. Just cut that off a bit.
This is for the heads that loving the mix. Big little front egg covered in shit. That is in the box. Hilltop goods, yeah, up in this bitch. We are funk leaders.
Where's that line? Oh, it's right there. Rob, do you want some earmuffs?
That's, yeah, nah, it's right. That's always a bit full.
I was
We've been cutting with it.
composite decking.
Oh.
I'll get you some earmuffs up. Otherwise,
It's alright, it's alright, no, it's alright. I like when I know what you must go home and go deaf. I can't hear my family.
can't hit your family. All right, can you try to slide it across to me?
Yeah.
Oh, went a bit too far.
Maybe like another two.
All right. So what I'm gonna do, we'll get it roughly good. Thanks, bro. Let's turn this on. Oh no, she's almost dead.
Good enough.
So what I'm gonna do from here,
We're jumping the other side.
is measure 100 mil, which is right there. Oh, hang on, just try not to move that. I'm going to tack one nail on this corner and check the other side. It's 100 mil there. Cool. I'm just going to shoot the edges off. What we do though is we won't shoot the sheet off completely, just in case when we do the next sheet, if these two aren't completely straight, we can always dash them across. Yeah, we'll go to the next one now.
Yeah, but no screws or anything, yeah?
We are going to screw them off. We're going to wait until these boys are done with the handrail. Oh, actually, hang on. I didn't glue this up completely. I just stopped. You hold that.
Yeah, I got balance.
Thank you.
I might need to borrow this for 1 sec.
Yep.
Shit, bro.
And come down. Slide it hard to you. Sweet as. You just keep it hard in there where it needs to be. Got 100 mil there.
Dude, that's with the track saw and the cuts so out.
Yeah, how does that happen with the truck saw, mate? Is the truck moving?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe it's because I use the blade for the composite decking. It could be slightly warped.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. It could bouncing around. Make sure that's pretty good though. I'll tack this side.
What the fuck is the alarm going on?
While you cut that, I'm going to start working out where these bathrooms have to go. So we have an 1800 ensuite here, which is going to be butting into that wall, which goes... Yeah, okay, so this one finishes around here on this truss, or this posi, sorry. So the wall's going to go here. That means our flooring is going to run through to this posi, and we're going to have to get a bit of 90-45 and screw it to the side of this posi here to pick up the floor coming through this way. So 1800, what I'm more so worried about now is I want to work out how far it goes coming back down this way. 3.7 coming back in. 3.7 hooking over makes it 3.790. So that should be the wall going through there. That's our bathroom in here. So when we do our second run of yellow tongue is going to stop on that truss and then get checked out to go halfway through that wall through there. I do have a texter. Oh yeah. Just going to do a rough mark there. Cool. We'll keep laying these sheets down. We'll get that first run done the entire way, and then we can start playing around with these.
Yeah, sounds really good.
Sweet. All right, so that's that first run done. Woo. It's gonna be the thumbnail for the YouTube video. Let me get down low for that.
Wait, can you cut to in the YouTube video I was catwalking?
You want to do a cat? Oh, you can do a catwalk.
Like Ben Stiller, but he does the catwalk.
Cool. All right, so we'll start the second run. What we worked out before is that our yellow tongue is going to finish on this posi here, and once it gets to this posi, there's our other mark. Once it gets to this posi here, we're going to start ripping it along here and leave that for the wet area. I'll have to glue all the way down here. Do you have that first sheet cut?
Yeah.
Cool. Let me just glue her up. All right. Just do that. Is this it? Yeah. How do you prefer putting flooring sheets down? With your hammer or foot? We'll go hammer. We'll use the hammer.
Change up every second one actually.
I'll go this side. So since the full protection's lanting over, we've got to go down and now slide her across. Hang on, I'm going to move this across. Happy there? Hook her on and pull her in. Nice.
Yeah, bring it up. Oh mate, we get it hard too just without even a sledge.
Nice. Alright, it's gone on really well. For now, oh yeah, no, you can shoot that one completely off. Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to take it then.
So you can go 3165. That will help out really well. So you grab that side. So the reason we don't completely nail off this first row of sheet is because we want to slide this one in, and this one is going to be straight, and we're going to be able to see if the first two sheets kick at all. They shouldn't. It should work out pretty well, but if they not good.
Nah, it's got the strap thing. Yeah, I can't get it in. Set up. The straps on it.
Oh, it's been dented. Yeah. Is that clear? I'm going to slide this over.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit the sheet in with the sledgy. Whenever we do that, we always want to start away from the joint and work our way to it.
Correct.
And that pulls. Oh, don't shoot it until it's all in. And this is also going to pull the butt joint in and make sure it's all nice and tight. So as we can see, we've hit that in. We're looking pretty straight. I'm going to give it one more tap. But you can see the. Do you? Yeah. We'll go there. That's pretty good. So you can shoot that off. Alright, so we've floored what we could for now. We're about to jump up. I'm going to do the flick out cut-in and get a few walls up today. For that though, we've got to start cutting these studs. We've got about 6 stacks of studs here. And I'm just going to quickly set up a bench. We'll probably use this LVL laying down here. I'm just going to set up a bench against this wall here. I think we'll clear out this garage and get someone cutting studs all day. Cut those studs and we'll get all the studs stacked in here. Does mean though, when we're framing walls, we're going to have to pass up all the studs. It's going to take a bit of time, but we don't really have any other choice. Yeah. Should be set up. What we'll do is after every 10 studs, we'll always get the tape out, just double check it in case it does move. But that's a nice little setup. It is a bit too high. I think Oscar's just going to make a quick little step just to make it a little bit more comfortable because there is almost a full day worth of cutting studs here. So we might even try to get a couple people on them and just get them done as soon as possible. I'm not going to go over the flick out too much up here. It's going to be very straightforward. So this flooring is completely straight. We measured up from the lower wall. So what we're going to do is just come in 90mm from all the points, flick a line straight through, and we know that line's going to be straight, and we'll just square off that and follow the upstairs walls.
Alright, so the boys have started to cut in plates and especially focus on building that party wall to start with. Our goal now is to build the party wall, pass up all the hebel, and then get that hebel wall built straight away. For now though, I'm obviously tackling the bit of steel that had the threaded rods sticking up on top of it. The plan is I'm going to cut the threaded rods down so they're less than 45mm. We're going to do solid blocks between all of the bolts, and then I'm going to build a wall on top of it. So the reason we're changing our goal is we originally were going to frame all the walls in one unit while we waited for more flooring to come. The flooring actually came really quickly though, so while it's here, I think we're going to jump back to doing the flooring, try to get all the flooring done in both units, and then we can complete that stage of a job, and then jump back onto the wall framing. We've also been told that we're going to get an extra set of hands tomorrow, and we want to utilise that to try to get all the hebel sheets up and build that hebel wall. So today we've stopped the pre-cut, we've stopped screwing down the flooring, and I'm going to get 2 guys onto the party wall to try to build the party wall in one unit, and I'm going to jump over to the other unit and start doing the flooring. So we have just finished off the party wall, and you can probably tell it is also a new day today, and it is a day that we want to build this hebel wall. It's also going to be the hottest day we've had of the year so far. It's going to be 39 degrees today, and it's not going to be fun passing up the hebel sheets and getting the wall built. Before we pass up the hebel panels, I do want to go through and secure this wall off and get it plumb. I'm going to do a plumb brace either end of the wall, and since it is a long continuous party wall, I am going to get a string line and we're going to string the top of it, making sure it is dead straight. I want to get a fair few temp braces coming down off this wall, because when we do stand up the hebel panels, there will be a fair bit of weight pulling on it. With all the temp braces done, I also want to lock this wall off completely by going through, doing all the cross braces, and doing the top plates and all the straps over the wall too. The reason we want to make sure we get all these straps done now is we haven't pre-installed a lot of them on the ground because we are using the spikies, and once the hebel wall goes up, the hebel panels are actually going to stick up past the top of this wall, meaning that we can't access the back of the wall to nail off all of these straps. Alright, so we're about to start passing up the hebel panels. Before we do that, Basso's just going through right now, screwing on the L brackets that are going to hold the hebel panels to the framed wall. While he's doing that, I'm going to jump downstairs and start cutting up this fire seal. So I'm going to cut the fire seal up into strips, and this sits in between our hebel panels on the vertical joints. So I'm going to go through, sit it on top of all the panels we've already installed, and then when we drop our new panels on, they're going to sit down on top of this fire seal, and the weight of the Hebel panel on top of it should squish the fire seal down, stopping any gaps in between the panels at all. We're finally ready for the part that I've been dreading the most, passing up the Hebel panels. At this point, it's the middle of the day, the sun is out in full force, but to be honest, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, it was pretty hot, the panels are quite heavy. The worst part has definitely been covered in sunscreen and having the dust from the Hebel drop down all over you and getting stick to your arms. We actually ended up passing up all of these Hebel panels, and since we're working so close to the beach, we ran down at Smoko, jumped in, washed off, and came back after lunch to start building the Hebel wall. Now, building the Hebel wall is exactly the same as what we did downstairs. For the back section, we just got to lift the Hebel panels up and slide them down until they sit on the lower panels, but everything else is exactly the same. We're doing 10 panels, someone's behind the wall, screwing the L brackets into the panels to hold them as we go. We've got the Hebel adhesive that we're chucking in between every single panel, making sure there's no gaps at all, keeping the building soundproof and then also fireproof.
Alright, so it's going to be another 30 plus degree day today. It's already 30 degrees and we're done for the day. We just came in on a Saturday. You can see we flicked out the unit, we just cut in a few plates. Plan wasn't to do too much at all. We just wanted to do a few little things like that so that when we come in Monday, we're ready to go. We'll get some guys finishing the pre-cut, finishing cutting the plates, marking out all the walls, and then hopefully within an hour, maybe 2 hours max, we can start getting the walls up here.
I've skipped over building all the walls upstairs because it's the same process that we went through when we were building the lower walls. Not everything's done because we ran out of timber, but we've got enough done though, so we can start installing the trusses upstairs today.
Alright, so this is the plan, this is the roof we're building. It's actually going to go this way like that. It's a very straightforward, quite an easy roof to do. It's going to be a flat roof and we've just got skillion trusses running the whole way across. And we can see we've got a box gutter running on the external side of the house. In terms of marking out, it looks pretty straightforward. I'm going to start from the back here. We're going to do our first truss 5mm width from the wall frame, just to make sure we got enough room to build a parapet wall there. So the truss spacings are 600mm. I'm going to start going through, marking them out, and we just need to play around where these skylights go when we get up to them. So we've got 7 HW1Bs, so 7 trusses for the small wall here. We're just going to jump straight into it. So the first truss is always going to be in the inside of the wall. I'm going to mark it there, but as I did say, when we stand the truss up, we want it to be even 10mm across, because the last thing we want is for the truss to slightly go over this wall. We will build that up with a parapet wall, and if that truss goes over it, it means to make this wall work, we're going to have to cut the edge off every single stud so that the wall isn't pushing out of plumb. So we've got first truss there. It's going to be quick as if we go 6, 12. I might just throw a nail in there for us to hook over. Always want to make sure these spacings are continuous, meaning that the tape hooks over and we keep marking across, opposed to just doing this for every measurement. Because if I do 600 there, and if I wasn't holding that exactly in the right place and then I do the same thing over there, our truss measurements can start to kick back and forth. By the time we get to the front of the house, they can be all over the place. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we did have 7 trusses for this room. 3, 6. Cool. And obviously we want to mark the other side out as well. So that probably took about a minute there. And that's this first little room already marked out to go with trusses. This whole roof should get done so quickly. What I want to do here is just get a measurement, which is 440 to that last truss mark. Because obviously the wall kicks out there. I can't hold my tape on that mark when we're out there. So now I know if I butt into the side of that wall, I've got to do my 600 spacing minus that 440 for the next truss. Actually, looking at the plan, ignore that 440. This next truss obviously has to be on the inside of that wall there to pick up that box gutter running right outside the wall. So I'm going to get that 440 measurement I got from over there, and I'm going to chuck it on this side. We're going to go 445, and what that's going to do is put this next truss 5mm across to the inside of that wall. Doing the same thing we've done over there, we want to suck that truss in 5mm so we can build a parapet wall there. And we can't do 600 centers here because we need the truss for that little bit there to hold the corner of that roof where the wall sticks out. And this plan's actually made it super easy for us to do these skylights as well. We've got measurements at the bottom here, which we can follow. Yeah, so they've started that measurement from the outside of that wall. So all I have to do is hook over the outside of that little wall there, measure across 3655, and then that's gonna be where this first skylight truss goes. And then we can see we've got 1165 in between, and it's gonna be for our other skylight truss. Super easy. What I normally do is also check the architecturals to make sure it's in the right place. Where are we looking at? Our skylight is gonna be basically right above me here. So it looks like it's gonna be lined up with this little walkway, this hallway through here. So I'm just gonna visually check it with these walls and make sure it's relatively centered when we do frame that one up. The boys have actually just jumped down. They're starting to get the trusses. And since they're getting these ones here, I'm just gonna jump back in here, get a gun set up, and we're just gonna start throwing these trusses up as we go. You can see how easy it is to mark these out. So on a roof like this, I don't mind if we're marking it out as we're pulling the trusses up. One person on a ladder the other side, we can just keep doing 600 centers, throw the truss up, and just smash this roof out. No dramas at all. Yep. Do you want to land this on your side and I'll walk up the ladder with it?
I can pass it on to you, Dave.
Oh, I'm alright with this one. Just, do you want to go over your head to where it needs to go? Yeah. And just make sure that you do nail it in 10 mil from that wall. At least 5-10 mil. How's your length there?
I'm sitting in about 3 mil, I reckon.
Oh, that's sweet. Just let me know if it changes.
Yeah.
Sweet. So since I'm leaning it on the wall there, it's probably going to be pushing the wall out very slightly. So I'm going to shoot my side, and then when we plumb it up, we'll pull your wall in, get your wall right,
Yeah.
shoot it off. Hope the stud's pretty straight. Can you give the wall a tap in a mil? Well, I'm happy with that. Shoot that off. Just gonna confirm this side. It should be spot on though. Yeah, it's good. It's so nice playing with some smaller trusses. They're so light, easy to get up. Good there. Alright, so we're actually flying through the trusses right now. I think it's just this pack left. There's 13 here that we're going to pass up. We're going to get all the trusses up, and then once everything's up, I'm going to go through and frame out the skylights. So we'll get these up, then almost all of the units done up there, and then I'll get the GoPro back on and I'll talk you through what we're doing to frame out where the skylights go. It's pretty simple, but we'll jump on it anyway. Alright, so we've got the trusses up in this unit. Obviously, we've just left out, where are they? We've left out the skylights. I did say I'm going to jump on them now and do them, but we just had a delivery of timber, and it's all the timber we need to keep going over here in this unit. So we've got a couple walls to build there, a few walls to build in the front, and we're just going to get this done. I'm not going to film it. It's going to be stuff that I've covered so many times already in this episode. So we're going to jump to this unit, get everything set up here, and then when I jump back over there to do the skylights, I'll continue this video going through the roof and everything else we have to do to finish this roof off.
A to Z. I've had a lot of fun putting this together.
Alright, so we've got most of the trusses up in this unit now. One of the guys actually jumped on, and they've done the skylight trusses in the first unit we started with. So we can see they're framed up there. The other one's framed up there as well. Exactly the same thing in this unit. I'm just going to jump on and start doing these now. All right, so we can actually see they're marked out quite easily for us. Plan is that way. It's a bit hard to see on the camera, but off the back of that wall, we're coming across 175. And then we have the 35mm gap for the actual truss, and then a 730 opening. So we're going to go 175, 175. I'm actually going to mark the 35 for the truss so we can see this side of it. So that's the inside of the truss there. Inside of the truss. And let's square that up. So this is definitely the easiest part of doing a skylight. I'm going to jam this in here. It is nice and tight. At this stage, we're just going to put the trusses in. And it'll be the lock-up stage where we actually come through and frame this out perfectly for that skylight opening. The trusses should be a bit bigger, and this should give us enough room to frame it up for the actual window to sit on. So we're on. And I'm not going to shoot the tops yet. I want to get a level, make sure we plumb that one up. So that was PGT2 we put in, which goes furthest to the back. That's the larger one. And then this one, it's also PGT2. Here we go. PGT1 is what we need. Just got to make sure I get these the right way around, because this PGT1, this truss here, is going to be a fair bit smaller, as you can see, because this truss here is going to get smaller and smaller the further along we go. So 730 across, this truss should work out pretty good. So I think my ladder might be just in the way. We go 730. That's the inside there. And we'll go 730 here. Sweet as. That's good there. Sweet. So that's how we're leaving it for now. I think later in the lockup we will go through at some point and frame this to be a bit smaller. I don't think the skylight's actually that 11.65 wide. So we'll sort that out later. Now though, we'll just put the last few trusses in and fill in this gap. So we've got one here. I'm just going to pull this up. Where's that mark? Mark was up there. Nice. This is the last piece we've got to put in. I think this is probably the smallest truss I've ever seen. I don't even know if we can call that a truss. It's just a few blocks nailed together. But this one's just to go on the other side of the skylight. I might actually jump up on the roof to get this one in. And yeah, that's the right way there. And this one's obviously just going here to help hold that outside roofing pattern that runs the whole way through. I'm just going to shoot straight through this one. And if I can get my gun in here, it's going to be a little bit awkward. There we go. Easy as. That's the skylight framed out in about 2 seconds. So I'm going to jump through. Camera didn't die, which is always good. We've got another skylight at the front, or not at the front, about halfway through. I'm going to frame that one up too. And as we can see from now, skylight isn't completely centered with this hallway. That's because the trusses allowed us for 1165 opening. I'll double check, I think the skylight might be 900. In the lock-up stage, we're going to come through, we're going to frame that skylight up, and when we do that, that's when we're going to really check these walls here and make sure that skylight's centered with this little passageway here. So probably, I'll say lock-up stage, we're going to have to do that before the roof goes on.
So we're turning our attentions onto the parapet walls and the box gutters. To build a box gutter, we've got to go through and build the parapet walls first. So we're going to go through, build this wall the entire way around the house, which is going to firstly hide the roof from street level, and secondly be a wall that we can attach our trimming blocks to for the box gutter. For the box gutter, there's a few different ways that we can build it, depending if there's going to be a sump at the end or if it's just going to be a rain head externally. For this box gutter, it is going to be a rain head, so we don't have to worry about the height. And what I'm going to be doing is trimming these blocks to the side of the truss, and every single truss, they're going to slightly get higher and higher, creating the full for the box gutter. All that a boxy needs is a full of 10mm per meter. And you can see these end ones here, they do get a little bit higher, so we can't just laminate the block to the side of the truss, but instead we're going to pack out the truss and just do a trimming block across.
Hey Oscar,
Yo.
what are the lengths of the valley board? Oh, the 4.8? Can I get one? I'll get one at 4.730.
4.730?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now for the box gutter, it's not going to be made out of the same caliber material that the roof sheet's made out of. The roof sheets are a lot stronger so you can walk across them. The box gutter is just a small, thin tray. So what we have to do is get these lengths of valley board. These are going to sit on the trimming blocks for the box gutter, and they're going to be a permanent, strong base for the box gutter to sit on. This allows for the tray to sit on the valley board, and then obviously if we get any weight from the water coming into the box gutter, it's going to be strong enough to hold that weight as well.
One, two, three, four, five.
What I'm laying out now is a speed brace on top of the trusses, and this acts in a very similar way, pretty much the exact same way as the cross braces that we had on the walls. The truss plan shows us where to put this stuff, and we just lay it in crosses on top of the trusses, nail it off with some clouts, and it's going to be enough to stop that roof from moving side to side.
So we actually just got the timber we need to frame up the openings for the skylight. We were needing 140 by 35 beams though to do it. So that's here now. What I'm going to do is go through, cut all these to size, basically build 4 skylights on the ground, and then jump up on the roof. I'll get someone cutting for me, and there's going to be a little bit involved to get these right. The way I normally do my skylights is that I have double the amount of 140, and I build all 4 sides kind of like this, with the 140 sitting on a 140 beam. This can be used to hold the weight going across the trusses, and that's also used as a batten for the roof sheets. we can't do that because we don't have enough timber, so we're gonna have to figure out a different way to do it, and we'll get up to that once I build these skylights on the ground first. Alright, so I've got the 4 skylights framed up. What I'm going to do before we pass them up is just go through with a roof is square. I want to check that they're square. If they're not square, we're going to crank them to be square. And then I'm just going to throw a brace across them, screw it on, just to make sure the skylights remain square when I move them up and get them up onto the roof. Pretty good there. Before I pull these skylights up, I've cut some 90-35 and we're going to screw them to the bottom like that, so that once the skylight's done, it's going to be looking like that, and this 35 here can act as a batten for the roofers to screw to. What it also does is it gives us a base at the bottom of the skylight for this to sit on the truss, and we can also screw through this 90-35 into the truss. Typically, I normally use 140-35 as well, so we've got that extra width. It's just a bit easier to screw to. We didn't have that on site, so we're gonna have to use a 90-35, and I've actually already gone through. Centered where the skylights are gonna go, and put extra timbers in there, which is gonna help hold up that skylight. Alright, sweet. So now this is the easy part. We've got the skylights framed up, we're up on the roof. What I've done when I was downstairs is I've found the middle of the opening and done a center mark. What I'm also going to do, measure across the skylight. The inside is 572, so half of that will be 286. Gonna mark that, double check that measurement was right, we're all good. I'm going to square this down, and I'm going to line that mark up with the center line of the frame opening, which is right there. So I've lined that one up. We're going to do exactly the same on this side. And I didn't film it, but that center mark there, I got that by finding the center of that hallway downstairs, and the center mark I've got on this side here is a center of this hallway through here. This is a most important one. You're going to be walking through the hallway, and once the skylight's framed up, you're going to see the gap of plaster on either side of the skylight. So if it's out by 5 mil one way, you're more than likely going to be able to see it. So we're going to make sure this is perfect. This is my 286 there. Square that. We'll go a bit further down than that. So I'm looking pretty good there with both marks. This party wall here, or this parapet wall here, is plumbed up and it's following the hallway line downstairs. If we are parallel up here, we should be pretty good downstairs. So I'm just going to slightly twist that and adjust it by a few mil here or there. And we got 183, 180. Just want to play around with that a tiny bit more. 181, 181. There we go. We're parallel off that wall. Double checking my marks. Everything's centered. And now I can just go around and screw it straight down into the trusses below. With that screwed off, that skylight should be held square right now. So I can get rid of this brace. And there you go, the upper side of that skylight's ready to go. by the time the roofers come through and put the battens on, they're 35mm. The roof sheets will sit directly on that, and your skylight will hook over this here. Obviously in the inside, we still got to frame that out and do the opening for the skylight, but we will be doing that one in the lock-up stage.
Alright, so we're all done with the upper roof trusses. Everything's tied off now. I didn't film absolutely everything, including the tie downs and all the speed brace, but we covered the majority of it. The next thing we're going to do is, while we're still upstairs, is I'm going to jump down and start installing the windows. In Australia, doing timber frames, we always put the windows in before the house gets wrapped, which I know is quite different to other places around the world, but it's part of the frame order, and the frame's not done and the next trades can't come in until we've installed the windows.
So what we're going to do to start with is just go through, obviously pre-drill every single window. We're going to level the sills, throw the windows in, and just try to get them all in to start with. And then after that, we're just going to go through and just go around and pack and plumb up all the windows. Nice. Beautiful, that fits well. Since it is square set reveals, it means our windows are going to go in flush with the frame, opposed to sticking out 10mm for plaster. So sweet, that's solid. It's obviously not plumbing the sides yet. We're just going to leave it for now. We're going to go throw every single window in, and then at the end we'll come through with our levels, plumb them up, pack them off, and get them right at the end. There. I'm just... I've also got my laser set up and want to make sure all the tops are the same height. From the front of the house, you'll be able to see all the tops of the windows. We want to make sure they run through at the same line. Honestly, the reason we're packing these sills probably comes down to the sizes that these studs are cut at. When framing and guys are running around cutting studs quickly, there's a very good chance that one stud could be cut a few mil shorter than the other stud. So even though we spent the time leveling the subfloor, that should all be level, I'm still checking the window sills for that reason. Especially in this room here too, this is going to be the toilet, meaning it's going to be tiled, and the last thing you want is tiles to be ripped out of level on an angle, because that's one thing you'll definitely notice. Alright, do you guys have that weight? I'm running up.
You alright?
Good work, boys. Let go. Yep, slide it in and we'll send it straight up. Cool. Alright, so we've got the upper windows in. The boys are going through now, plumbing them off and installing the lower windows. I'm going to change my focus to the front here. We're actually going to have to pull down a few of these trusses. We're going to have to change a few things because the plans aren't actually working out, and we've got a lot of framing and a lot of work to do to finish off the fronts of these two units. So,
We'll go yours, yeah, yours up.
yep. Can you hold that balance for a sec?
Yeah, got it.
I'm going to jump up a bit more.
Yeah. Good?
Yes, sir. Let me know if you want to go to you.
Probably alright. Yep. I'm good there. Yeah, you're good.
Nice.
Alright, so I honestly don't know what happened to the rest of the footage after just putting those beams up, but we just went through and built a few box gutters and a small tray roof at the front there. Even with losing that footage, we've pretty much done everything in terms of building these two houses. This is the entire build from start to finish, and obviously depending on what type of house you build, the process is going to be quite different. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd love to watch a different style of house get built, maybe with a hip and valley roof or a more architectural design finish, let me know, because I had a lot of fun doing this job and then doing this edit at the end, and I'd love to do more videos like this in the future. Thanks again for watching, and if you want to have a proper look through at the complete finished job, I've got this video here where we did a walkthrough once the frame was done and talked about every component, bit of hardware, bit of bracing, and what everything